All right, today we're going to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, every single one of us has. Why are our brains so incredibly good at forgetting things? And more importantly, we're going to uncover a surprisingly simple, science backed way to make the stuff you learn actually stick. I mean, think about it. Have you ever spent hours, maybe even all night, studying for a big exam or trying to learn a new language, only to have it all just evaporate from your brain a few days later? It's so frustrating, right? But here's the thing, it's not really your fault. Turns out there's actually a name for this area of our memory. It's called the forgetting curve. It's this natural scientific principle that shows how our brains are literally wired to let go of information. It's kind of the villain of our story today. But here's the good news. What if I told you there's a way to fight back? A simple but incredibly powerful technique that can totally flatten that curve and help you hold on to what you learn for good.
Okay, so to beat this curve, we first have to really understand it. Let's take a quick look at what's actually going on inside our brains when we forget.
So, this idea comes from a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus. He basically proved that after you learn something new, your memory of it just drops off a cliff. It's exponential. Without any kind of reinforcement, you can lose over half of that brand new information in just one day. And it all comes down to the brain's two main filing cabinets. When you first learn something, it goes into your short-term memory. You can think of this like a temporary sticky note on your computer desktop. It's not meant to last. To make it stick, you have to consciously move it into your long-term memory. And that's where the durable, lifelong knowledge lives. Just learning something once is almost never enough to do the trick. So how do we hack this system? Well, this brings us to the hero of our story, spaced repetition. This is the scientifically proven method for basically interrupting that forgetting process and cementing knowledge where it belongs. The core idea is it's brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of cramming all at once, you review information at very specific strategic moments, right before you're about to forget it. And each time you do that, you push that forgetting curve further and further out. You're actually working with your brain's natural rhythm, not against it. Oh yeah, we've all been there, right? The all-night cram session. It feels super productive, but that feeling is totally deceiving. That's what's called massed practice, and we know for a fact it leads to really rapid forgetting. Now, spacing your reviews out, that might feel slower, less intense, but the science is crystal clear. That's how you build knowledge that actually lasts. So this is the journey a piece of information takes to become permanent. First, it hits your short-term memory. Then, just as it's about to fade away, bam, a timely review interrupts that forgetting process. You do this a few more times, with bigger and bigger gaps in between, and each time you're strengthening the neural pathway, until finally that information gets transferred and locked into your long-term memory. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's build a little starter toolkit you can start using literally today. Now, the best part is you don't have to manage any of this with a complicated spreadsheet or calendar. We have apps for that. Tools like Anki or Quizlet use these really smart algorithms to do all the heavy lifting. You just create your flashcards and answer the questions, and the app automatically figures out the perfect time to show you that information again. It's amazing. Now, this right here is maybe the most crucial part of making this work. Your study material has to be digestible. Don't try to cram an entire textbook chapter onto one card. The real key is one idea, one question, one single concept per card. This keeps the review process super fast, focused, and incredibly effective. All right, so once you've got the basics down and you're in a rhythm, you can really start to level up your learning by adding a few more powerful strategies into the mix. This is the engine that really makes spaced repetition go. Active recall is all about forcing your brain to pull out the information from scratch. So instead of just flipping a card over and looking at the answer, you actively try to remember it first. It's that effort, that struggle of retrieval, that actually forges a stronger memory. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Passively rereading your notes or a textbook. It just creates this false sense of familiarity. It feels like you know it, but you don't. Real, true learning happens in that moment of struggle when you're retrieving the info. It feels harder because it is harder, and that's exactly why it works so well. Now, to make your knowledge even more flexible and useful, you've got to mix things up. This technique is called interleaving, and it just means you alternate between different topics in a single study session, instead of studying one thing in a big, isolated block. So blocked practice, studying topic A, then topic B, then topic C, it feels really organized and easy, right? But with interleaved practice, where you're mixing it all up, you're forcing your brain to constantly load and reload different concepts. It's definitely more challenging, but the payoff is huge. You build a much more robust and flexible understanding that you can actually apply in new situations.
Look, a powerful tool is completely useless if you just leave it in the toolbox. So let's talk about the most important part, how to turn spaced repetition into a consistent habit that actually works for you and your life.
Okay, here is your game plan for making this stick. First, consistency is everything. Seriously, 10 to 15 minutes every day is so much better than one stressful 2-hour session on a Sunday. Second, set some clear goals. Know what you're trying to learn and why it matters to you. Third, learn to love the struggle. Prioritize the concepts you find the most difficult. That's where the real growth happens. And finally, don't be afraid to mix and match methods. After a review session, maybe try summarizing what you just practiced in your own words to lock it in even further.
So there you have it, the science of why we forget and the powerful, proven strategy to overcome it. You now have the tools to learn anything more effectively. So the only question left is, what new language, complex subject, or essential skill are you going to master first?